But before Caitlin Clark's season-ending injury, WNBA tickets were averaging $89. The moment she went down, price crashed nearly 30%, plummeting to $62 a seat. That's kind of crazy. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but obviously the biggest reason.
The WNBA is facing what can only be called a full-blown ratings and financial crisis. Commissioner Kathy Angelbert watches in dismay as the league's fleeting moment of glory quickly unravels, collapsing into a harsh reality almost as fast as a balloon losing air.
NBA and the Indiana Fever did not want people to know that Caitlin Clark was going to be out for the season. I can tell you, from the very day that they decided to let that go public, everything has dropped off a cliff. Views on this channel, the television ratings, the interest, Thanos snapped out of existence. People were trying to hang on to the possibility this whole time. Look, so many people stayed engaged with the team because they thought the cavalry was...
The trigger for this disaster came when the Indiana Fever officially announced that their star guard, Caitlin Clark, will miss the rest of the 2025 season. Suddenly, the WNBA is confronted with a harsh truth. Without their golden star, the league risks becoming little more than an overpriced sideshow that fails to capture anyone's attention.
July. The WNBA proudly flaunted ratings for the All-Star Game, which drew 2.2 million viewers. Of course, they conveniently failed to mention that ratings were down 36% from the record ratings that Caitlin Clark pulled the year before. Early August, ESPN pointed out that the Seattle Spankers and the Indiana Felines, without Caitlin Clark, drew 1.6 million on ABC. ESPN claimed that WNBA ratings were up 20% over last year, mostly without Caitlin Clark playing. But over the last 3 or 4 weeks, both the WNBA and the media have been strangely silent. I wonder...
The fallout from Clark's season-ending announcement has hit the league's finances hard. WNBA playoff ticket prices have nosedived, dropping an average of 30% overnight, with some seats falling from over $200 to just $25.
The WNBA are currently treading dangerous waters. It's sharks out there, y'all. It is sharks out there in the deep ends of that water. Reality is hitting, and the playoffs have the potential to expose even more. Ratings could potentially crash in this year's WNBA playoffs without Caitlin Clark. Networks have their eyes peeled to what is going on, and ticket prices plummeted 30% while Caitlin Clark was out with her.
The Indiana Fever, who had been charging premium prices all season, saw their road game tickets plunge by 71% following Clark's injury, falling from an average of $137 to just $80. This isn't a minor setback, it's a full-blown market collapse that lays bare the league's reliance on a single superstar.
She's only on one team, but a very big chunk of the total attendance in WNBA is from the Indiana Fever. They have the second highest home attendance, and teams are literally moving arenas. So yeah, a lot of teams, whether it be the Lynx opening the Upper Bowl, whether it be the Wings, the Dream, the Sky, all of these teams moving games. All of these teams are moving games for the Indiana Fever, regardless of who it is. They all have to sell those seats. And a lot of people don't want to go, and it's super cheap. Like, it's a lot easier to fill a 10,000 seat arena without Caitlin Clark than to fill 20,000. So you're going to have to find a way to do it anyway, which is what a lot of people are going to be doing, trying to sell tickets.
The 2025 WNBA season was meant to be the league's crowning achievement, shattering attendance records and generating unprecedented revenue. Instead, it has become a cautionary tale of how quickly artificial success can vanish when built on a fragile foundation. Clark, who had never missed a game in college or a rookie season, played just 13 games in 2025 due to a string of debilitating injuries. Without her magnetic presence, the league that once seemed unstoppable is rapidly sliding back into obscurity, and the financial data leaves no room for doubt.
WNBA playoffs begin on Sunday. Have you noticed that no one is talking about it? This time last year, the WNBA was dominating talk shows on ESPN and FS1. Content creators on YouTube were flooding the platform with WNBA videos. This year, it's complete silence. Obviously, ratings for the playoffs are going to be a flaming ass fire, but if I'm the WNBA, I am concerned.
The most damaging aspect of this crisis isn't just the immediate financial hit, it's the sudden collapse of sports media interest in the WNBA. Major networks and commentators who once treated the league as must-cover content are now losing interest faster than ice cream melts in the sun. The same voices that hailed the WNBA's breakthrough moment are quietly shifting focus to more profitable sports, leaving the league scrambling to stay relevant without its biggest storyline. Outlets that once devoted extensive coverage to Clark's meteoric rise are cutting back, with some networks reportedly removing WNBA content entirely from prime programming. The harsh reality is that sports media follows ratings and fan engagement, and without Clark generating headlines and viral moments, the league has lost its main hook. ESPN, which heavily invested in WNBA coverage during Clark's era, now faces the uncomfortable truth that their programming decisions hinged entirely on one superstar.
We talked about Jason Whitlock disowning the WNBA. True to his word, hasn't spoken a lick about the WNBA since. Colin Cowherd trashing the WNBA. It's Caitlin Clark and only Caitlin Clark. Last year, he used to lead shows talking Caitlin Clark, talking WNBA. This year, with her injury, didn't even bother wasting more than 10 minutes talking about the WNBA this year. No Shanae, no Elle Duncan, no Monica McNutt, none of those.
Perhaps the most telling indicator of the league's desperation is how viewership numbers have completely collapsed without Clark on the court. Games that would have drawn over 1.88 million viewers with Clark are now struggling to reach 200,000 viewers. A staggering 89% decline that demonstrates just how artificially inflated the league's popularity had become. Even matchups between supposed rivals like the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever, which previously generated massive ratings battles between Clark and Angel Reese, are now drawing audiences so small that networks are reluctant to release the embarrassing viewership data.
For nationally televised games have mysteriously disappeared. I knew the WNBA lived in a world of make-believe, but I never realized they were magicians. It seems when ratings fail to meet expectations, the WNBA makes ratings disappear faster than pants at the Butt Bongo Festival. Sports Media Watch, which is the go-to source for sports ratings, Sports Media Watch, they have not updated WNBA ratings since August.
The ticket price collapse extends far beyond just Indiana Fever games. WNBA playoff contests across the league are experiencing dramatic price drops as fans realize that without Clark, the product simply isn't compelling enough to justify premium pricing. Games that had been selling for $200 during the peak of Clark Mania are now available for $25. And even at those reduced prices, arenas are struggling to fill seats. This represents a fundamental shift in market demand that threatens the league's entire business model moving forward. The most infuriating aspect of this entire situation is how preventable it was. Clark's season-ending injury didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the result of a league that failed to protect its most valuable asset while allowing a culture of excessive physicality to flourish around her. From quad injuries in May to multiple groin injuries throughout the summer, Clark's body broke down under the relentless physical targeting that the WNBA not only allowed but seemingly encouraged. The league that should have been building protective systems around their golden ticket instead watched passively as their entire financial future was systematically destroyed by poor officiating and inadequate player protection protocols.